Hello and welcome to Galaxy of Math. This is our first lesson and it's our three-part lesson. It's called Types of Equations. This is part one. Part one involves linear equations. Now, linear equations, if you don't know what the term linear means, then I will define it for you. It's anything that has a tendency to go in a straight line. So if we know basic graphing, and I'm assuming as you're watching this video, you know that this is the x-axis and this is the y, and you know how to plot basic coordinates, such as 1, 3 being over 1 and up 3. I'm also assuming that you know the basic structure of the graph, and that you know how to plot points and connect points. So, go back to linear equations. We can identify linear equations in two different ways. The first being on a graph, like here. So here we know this is linear. Why is this? Because the line is completely straight. If the line were curved, if it were increasing slowly, or what we call exponentially, then it would not be linear. But we also can identify this as a linear equation because of its general equation form. This is the linear equation form, y equals mx plus b. And you can see it appears on the graph actually right here. Y equals 3x plus 1. This is the equation for this specific line graphed on the graph. And I'm going to tell you what these specific variables mean. So m represents slope. Now, you may not have heard the term slope before. Slope, I think, whenever I hear the word slope, I think of a hill. A hill has a slope. It's a general term. And you know that the more steep a hill is, the higher slope it has, or the bigger slope it has. But the more level it is, it has a smaller slope. So by looking at this line, we know that because it's a pretty steep line, it's going to have a pretty high slope, which is 3 here. It appears right here. So, how do we find slope? Well, slope has an equation too, almost like anything in math, which is rise over 1. Rise over 1, how do we define that? Rise being the y, because rise meaning up, and up and down is what y represents. Run being x, because it's going back and forth. It's simple common sense. So, rise over 1 equals slope. Now I'm going to tell you what b represents. And b represents y-intercept. Now, you're probably aware of what y is, but are you aware of intercepts? Y-intercept is the point at which the line, or the equation, crosses the y-axis. This is the y-axis, so we know that the y-intercept will always be in this form. 0, and then I'll replace it with the variable v. Or, why not do y? 0y. Now, we know this is the form for the y-intercept because x is 0, and then a certain amount of y. So let's take this equation for example. This equation is y equals 3x plus 1. Now you can see here, we're going to identify the y-intercept as 1 and the slope as 3. Now how did they graph this point, or this line, based on this equation? First they took the y-intercept, which is 1, and they placed the point, which is 0, 1. They graphed this coordinate. Then, they used slope. In this equation, slope is 3. But how did they know that? They started with the y-intercept, and they figured out how far up they had to go and how far they had to run in order to get to the next coordinate on the line. For example, you pick any coordinate on this line, usually one that fits specifically on a general coordinate, and then you can figure it out from there. For example, starting at 1, our y-intercept, we have to go up 3. See? 1, 2, 3, in order to reach the line that our next coordinate is on. And then we have to go over 1. So we have a rise of 3 and a run of 1. And we know that 3 over 1 is equal to 3. So our slope is 3. So now I'll give you an equation for you to graph. Here's the equation. It's y equals 2x minus 2. Now, I'm going to let you do this, and then I will walk you through it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. You can still be graphing, that's fine. Just make sure you're looking up at your computer. We're going to start by looking at the y-intercept, and we know that the y-intercept is -2. -2 is our y-intercept, so that will be in the form of 0 and -2. That means 0, -2, so we'll make a point right here. Right there, that will be a point. And now, you can see after there's a point there that our slope is 2. So m equals 2. Now we also know that m equals 2 is the same as 2 over 1, which would be our rise over run format. Now this format, 2 over 1, we're going to start by a point of 0, -2, and then we're going to go, obviously, up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1. So we'll have a coordinate here and a coordinate here. Then you'll connect all of these points together to create a linear equation. If the line is straight, if it's increasing, and if it appears to be the one that I'm imaginarily drawing, then you should be rather correct. This is our lesson on linear equations. If you have any more questions, please make a comment on my website, and also you can refer to my lesson on the page. Thank you.